Let me start by saying something most people won't dare say out loud. You don't need a woman's interest to start attracting her. That's right. The idea that attraction only happens when a woman is already interested in you, it's one of the biggest myths holding men back today. If you're waiting for her to like you first, or for her to show signs of interest before you make your move, you're playing a losing game. Why? Because attraction isn't a simple feeling she turns on or off. It's a dynamic process, something you create, something you control, and yet most guys sit back, confused and frustrated, wondering why the women they like just don't notice them. Meanwhile, others seem to pull women in effortlessly, even when those women weren't interested in the first place. The truth is controversial, and it's not what you've been told in movies, self-help books, or dating advice forums. Real attraction doesn't start with charm or a perfect pickup line. It starts with one crucial thing: value. But not the value you think. It's not about money, looks, or status. It's about who you are and how you show that to the world. Here's a hard pill to swallow. If you're not attracting the kind of women you want, it's probably because you're invisible to them. Not physically invisible, but emotionally and mentally invisible. You're blending into the background because you're not standing out in the way that matters. And that invisibility happens when you focus too much on trying to impress or please women rather than building yourself first. Let me make this clear. Trying to be someone you're not to attract a woman is a dead end. It's exhausting, fake, and women can sense it from a mile away. Instead, what I'm about to teach you is how to flip the script. How to become the kind of man who naturally draws women in, even those who initially seem uninterested or closed off. And before you get defensive, let me say this. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about understanding a simple but powerful truth about human attraction and applying it to your life. Because at the end of the day, attraction is a two-way street, but one side has the power to open doors first, and that side is you. Now you might be thinking, sounds easy in theory, but I don't have a six-pack, a fancy car, or some huge social status. Good, because none of those things guarantee attraction. You don't have to be rich or famous. You don't need to be the loudest or the most confident guy in the room either. What matters is something deeper. What women really respond to isn't just a list of qualities, but a vibe, a sense of purpose, direction, and authenticity. When a man is clear about who he is, what he wants, and he shows it without apology or hesitation, that energy becomes magnetic. Women notice it even if they aren't looking for it. So, how do you build that? How do you stop being the nice guy who waits for permission to try and start being the man who creates attraction on his own terms? That's exactly what this video is for. We're going to break down how to attract any woman, even if she's not interested right now, without playing games, without being creepy, and without losing your dignity. Because the worst mistake you can make is chasing someone who doesn't see your worth and sacrificing your own self-respect in the process. Here's the controversial truth you need to hear. Attraction is not about convincing a woman to like you. It's about becoming someone she can't ignore. And to become that man, you have to stop thinking of attraction as something that happens to you and start thinking of it as something you create. That means focusing on your mindset, your actions, and your daily habits, not just your appearance or your lines. It means being comfortable with rejection because it's part of the process, not a sign you're broken or unlovable. It means mastering yourself first, so that your presence naturally pulls women in, regardless of their initial interest. Now, you might be wondering if this really works. The answer is yes, and it works for any man willing to put in the effort and be honest with himself. It's not magic or luck, it's skill and it's learnable. So, if you're tired of feeling invisible, tired of wasting time chasing women who don't care, and ready to step into a new level of confidence and attraction, then stick with me. We're about to dive into the exact steps that will change the game for you. Because here's the bottom line. You can attract any woman, even if she's not interested right now, but only if you stop waiting for her permission and start building your own power. Stop being nice, be valuable instead. One of the biggest mistakes most men make when trying to attract women is confusing being nice with being valuable. Society has drilled into many guys that if they're kind, polite, and always agreeable, women will like them. That's the classic nice guy mindset, and it's one of the fastest ways to become invisible to the women you want. Here's the truth that most men don't want to admit. Being nice isn't enough. In fact, being overly nice can actually kill attraction. Why? Because nice is the baseline. Anyone can be nice. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't create desire or respect. And without respect, attraction rarely happens. Women want men who bring something valuable to the table, something unique, something interesting, something that makes them feel alive when they're around you. That value isn't just money, looks, or status. It's deeper. It's about being a man who has a purpose, passion, and standards. A man who challenges her in a way that excites her, not one who just agrees with everything she says to avoid conflict. Think about it this way. If you're always yes and never show your real opinions or desires, you become predictable and boring. That predictability doesn't spark interest. It creates comfort. But comfort is what women feel with friends, not romantic partners. And if you want to attract her, you need to move beyond comfort into desire. Here's a quick story. Imagine a man named James. James was what most would call a nice guy. He was polite, always said yes to plans, and never argued with anyone. He liked a woman named Sarah, but she barely noticed him. Whenever they talked, James tried hard to agree with Sarah and avoid any disagreements. He thought that if he made her happy, she'd like him back. One day, James changed his approach. Instead of trying to be nice, he started showing his own opinions and interests, even if they were different from Sarah's. When she suggested a movie James didn't like, he said so, not rudely, but honestly. He talked about his passion for hiking and invited her to join him on a weekend trip. Suddenly, Sarah's interest grew. She saw James as someone real, someone with a life and opinions, not just a yes man. She was curious and attracted to his confidence and purpose. This shift happened not because James changed who he was, but because he stopped trying to please her at all costs and started adding value to his own life. The lesson? Stop trying to be the nice guy who hopes women will like you because you're agreeable. Instead, focus on becoming a man with value that naturally draws people in. When you have your own direction and standards, you stand out. How do you do this? First, be honest with yourself about what you want in life. What are your goals? What excites you? What are your non-negotiables? When you're clear on these, you stop chasing approval and start living authentically. Women notice this authenticity, and it's magnetic. Second, don't be afraid to say no. Saying no doesn't mean you're rude or disrespectful. It means you have boundaries and you respect yourself enough to protect your time and energy. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you say yes to your own value. Third, pursue passions or skills that build your confidence. Whether it's a hobby, career, or fitness, doing something that makes you better gives you a sense of worth that women feel. Confidence built on real progress is attractive. It shows you're a man who invests in himself. Finally, don't confuse kindness with weakness. Being valuable means being kind but firm. It means treating others with respect, but not bending over backwards to get approval. True kindness comes from a place of strength, not neediness. When you shift from nice to valuable, you stop being someone who waits for women to notice you. Instead, you become a man who commands attention simply by being himself. Remember James and Sarah? That shift was small but powerful. It's something every man can do today. The moment you start living for yourself and not for her approval, you change the whole dynamic. Suddenly, women, not just Sarah, begin to see you differently. They sense a man who isn't desperate or needy, but confident and alive. This is the foundation of attraction. It's not about tricks or manipulation. It's about becoming the kind of man women want to be around because you bring value to your life, and by extension, to theirs. So stop being just nice. Start being valuable. That's how you change the game. Reject her approval. Build your own confidence. One of the biggest traps men fall into when trying to attract women is relying too much on her approval. It's a subtle but powerful mistake that quietly kills attraction. When your sense of worth depends on whether she likes you or not, you give away your power before the game even starts. Think about it. If every time you talk to a woman, you're silently asking, "Does she like me? Am I doing this right?" You're playing defense, not offense. You're handing her control over your emotions and confidence. And that's the last place you want your confidence to come from. True confidence isn't about how many compliments you get or how often a woman responds to your messages. It comes from within. It's built on your self-respect, your beliefs about yourself, and your ability to stand firm no matter what happens outside. This idea sounds simple, but most men never fully accept it. They chase validation from women because it feels good to be liked. But the moment you rely on that external approval, you risk losing yourself. And women sense it. They can tell when you're needy or desperate, and that's one of the fastest ways to push them away. Let me tell you about a man named Marcus. Marcus liked a woman named Emily. At first, he tried hard to get her approval. He changed his plans just to be available when she wanted to hang out. He agreed with everything she said to avoid any tension. When she didn't reply to his texts quickly, he felt anxious and doubted himself. That constant seeking of approval made Marcus feel weak and frustrated. Emily noticed this too, and she started pulling away because the dynamic felt off. One day, Marcus made a choice to stop depending on Emily's reactions to feel good about himself. Instead of waiting for her texts or approval, he focused on things that made him proud: his job, his friends, his hobbies. He stopped changing his plans to fit hers and started living on his own terms. What happened next was surprising. Because Marcus no longer acted needy or desperate, Emily started to see him in a new light. His confidence, born from self-respect, not her approval, made him more attractive. She noticed the difference, and her interest grew. The key lesson here is this: you must build your confidence inside, not outside. Waiting for a woman to validate you will never lead to lasting attraction. But when you own your worth and don't seek her approval, you create space for genuine connection. How do you reject her approval and build your own confidence? Here are a few simple steps. Stop chasing every response. Don't let your mood or self-esteem depend on how fast she replies or what she says. Practice patience and detachment. Focus on your life and interests instead. Set your standards and stick to them. Know what you want and don't lower your standards just to gain approval. Respect yourself enough to say no when something doesn't feel right. Celebrate your own wins. Take pride in your progress, whether it's at work, fitness, or personal growth. When you build your life around things that make you proud, you become less dependent on external validation. Practice self-respect in small ways. This means not settling for less than you deserve and not bending over backward to please others at your expense. Respect is attractive, and it starts with how you treat yourself. Accept rejection as part of the process. When a woman isn't interested, don't take it personally or see it as a failure. See it as a normal part of life and move forward with your confidence intact. Remember, confidence is a mindset. It's about how you value yourself, regardless of who's paying attention. Women are naturally drawn to men who feel secure in themselves, not those who wobble based on someone else's approval. Rejecting the need for her approval doesn't mean being arrogant or rude. It means being grounded. It means being a man who knows his worth and doesn't ask permission to exist fully. Marcus's story is proof that this shift works. When you stop asking, "Does she like me?" and start living your life with confidence, you stop chasing and start attracting. So next time you find yourself waiting on a woman's response or wondering if she's interested, remind yourself, your confidence is yours alone. Build it, protect it, and watch how your relationships change. Use silence and mystery to create curiosity. One of the most overlooked but powerful tools in attraction is silence. Sounds simple, right? But silence, when used correctly, creates something that's impossible to fake: mystery. And mystery is magnetic. Think about how often people rush to fill every moment with noise, words, or texts. We live in a world of constant connection, where being available 24/7 is the norm. But here's the catch. When you respond instantly to every message, say everything you think right away, or overshare your life, you remove all mystery. And without mystery, attraction starts to fade. Silence creates space, space for curiosity to grow. When you don't reveal everything about yourself immediately, it makes others wonder. It invites questions. It keeps the conversation alive in their mind, even when you're not around. We all know how a woman's curiosity works. If she's intrigued, she's thinking about you even when you're not texting. But if you're always available, always predictable, and always saying everything up front, there's nothing left to wonder about. That's when she stops chasing. Using silence effectively doesn't mean ignoring her or playing games to confuse her. It means balancing openness with restraint. It means knowing when to speak and when to hold back. When you're comfortable with silence, you're showing that you don't need constant validation. That in itself is attractive. Mystery is also about how much you share of your life and thoughts. You don't have to lay all your cards on the table immediately. Save some stories for later. Hold back some feelings. That keeps her interested because people naturally want to discover what's hidden beneath the surface. Another key point is not rushing to respond. Taking time to reply, without being cold or rude, shows that you're not desperate for attention. It makes your presence more valuable. When you're always there at her beck and call, your value decreases. Being mysterious also means being unpredictable in a good way. It's not about being flaky or disrespectful. It's about having a life outside of her and not being fully consumed by her every moment. When you have your own rhythm and don't revolve around her schedule, you become more intriguing. Most men think being interesting means telling a lot about themselves, but often it's the opposite. Less is more. The right pause in a conversation, the thoughtful silence, or the unspoken message can create more attraction than 1,000 words. You can feel it yourself in everyday life. Think about the people who draw you in, the ones who don't overshare, who keep a bit of their life private, who don't rush to fill every silence. They stand out. Their presence lingers even when they're gone. So how do you build this skill? Start by noticing your own reactions. Are you rushing to fill silence because you feel awkward? Are you afraid that if you don't respond immediately, you'll lose her interest? These feelings are normal, but overcoming them is crucial. Practice being okay with pauses in conversation. Let the silence hang for a moment before jumping in. Watch how the energy changes when you don't try to control every word. Be selective about what you share. Not every thought, feeling, or detail needs to be communicated right away. Hold back some parts of yourself. Let her discover those over time. Resist the urge to reply instantly to every message. Taking your time shows you have a life beyond her, and that your attention is something valuable, not guaranteed. Most importantly, be comfortable with yourself in those quiet moments. If you feel secure without having to constantly fill space, that confidence shines through. Silence and mystery aren't about manipulation or playing games. They're about respecting yourself enough to not give everything away at once and trusting that the right woman will want to learn more about the real you. When you master this balance, you change the dynamic from chasing to attracting. You become the man who holds her attention effortlessly, simply because she wants to know what's beneath the surface. Ignore rules of dating. Create your own path. Here's a harsh reality many men need to hear. If you're still stuck following the same outdated rules of dating, you're losing before you even start. The problem isn't that the rules are wrong. It's that most men don't even understand why those rules exist or whether they fit their real life. For years, you've been told things like, don't text her first, play hard to get, be mysterious, or always act confident. These rules sound like a secret code to win the game, but they often trap men in a cycle of confusion and frustration. The truth? Most of these rules are just general guidelines based on old school ideas or a few success stories. They aren't magic formulas. Yet many men treat them like gospel, trying to follow them rigidly, hoping they'll suddenly become irresistible. Instead, they become robotic, anxious, and disconnected from who they really are. Here's where the criticism comes in. Too many men are asleep when it comes to dating. They're blindly copying advice without questioning if it fits their personality, their values, or their actual situation. They think playing games will guarantee success, but what it really guarantees is that they'll lose authenticity, the single most attractive thing you can have. If you want to attract women, it's time to wake up and stop following the herd. The men who succeed aren't the ones obsessed with rules. They're the ones who create their own path. They understand that attraction isn't about ticking boxes. It's about being real, confident, and true to themselves. Here's the wake-up call. You don't have to act like someone else's idea of a perfect man. You don't need to memorize scripts or follow steps like a robot. What you need is to own who you are and express that fully. Creating your own path means embracing what makes you unique, even if it doesn't fit the rules. Maybe you're naturally funny but not mysterious. Maybe you prefer directness over subtlety. Maybe you value deep conversations more than casual flirting. That's okay. Authenticity wins. One major issue with strict dating rules is that they often make men afraid to be vulnerable or honest. Vulnerability gets labeled as weakness when it's actually a sign of strength. Being honest about what you want, how you feel, or who you are connects you with women on a deeper level. Women appreciate men who show real emotion, not just a rehearsed act. Another reason to ignore the rules is that every woman is different. What works for one won't work for another. Trying to fit every interaction into a set of rules limits your ability to read the situation and respond naturally. When you create your own path, you learn to listen, adapt, and communicate in ways that feel genuine. Also, many rules encourage men to suppress parts of themselves to fit a certain image. That image may seem attractive on the surface, but it's exhausting to maintain. And when a woman senses that you're not being real, attraction fades fast. Instead of following rules, focus on building your confidence, living your values, and being comfortable with who you are. When you do that, you're no longer chasing approval or trying to fit in. You're standing out, and that's magnetic. Remember, attraction is dynamic. It's not a checklist to complete, but a dance between two people. You can't control every step, but you can be present, authentic, and intentional. That presence beats any rule or technique every time. So, what's the advice here? Question everything you've been told. Don't accept dating rules blindly. Think critically about what fits you and what doesn't. Be yourself unapologetically. Stop trying to act like a character from some dating manual. Your real self is your best asset. Practice honesty and vulnerability. Don't hide who you are out of fear. Women connect with real emotions, not perfect facades. Adapt. Don't follow rigidly. Use your intuition. Every woman and every situation is different. Be flexible and genuine. Stop waiting for a magic formula. There isn't one. Your power comes from confidence in yourself, not from tricks or rules. Men, it's time to wake up. Stop being pawns in a game that only benefits those selling you dating secrets. Take control of your own story. Create your own path in attraction, and watch how your relationships transform. Make her chase you. Flip the attraction power. One of the most powerful shifts you can make in attracting women is to stop chasing and start making her chase you. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about flipping the dynamic so that you hold the power of attraction. Too many men waste energy running after women who barely notice them. They send endless messages, change their plans, and bend over backwards hoping for attention. But when you chase, you put yourself in a weak position. You're giving her the power to decide if and when she shows interest, and that can leave you feeling frustrated and powerless. Flipping the attraction power means becoming the kind of man who creates desire simply by being himself and setting the pace. It means you're confident enough to let her come to you, to wonder what you're up to, and to want to be part of your life. How do you make her chase you? First, focus on living your life fully. When you have passions, goals, and a busy schedule, you become more interesting and valuable. A man who is always available and has nothing going on is easy to overlook. But a man who has a life women want to be part of naturally draws attention. Second, create healthy distance. This doesn't mean ignoring her or being rude. It means balancing your time and attention. When you don't always respond instantly or cancel your plans just to be available, you signal that you respect yourself and your time. This respect is attractive. Third, show confidence through your actions, not just words. Be decisive, take the lead when appropriate, and don't hesitate to make plans. Confidence that comes from action feels authentic and inspires attraction. Finally, be selective about who you invest your energy in. Not every woman deserves your full attention. When you're clear about your standards and don't settle, you invite her to step up or step aside. That choice creates attraction because it shows you won't be taken for granted. Remember, attraction is about balance. When you flip the script and make her chase you, you regain control, build respect, and increase desire. Stop chasing approval and start living with purpose. And watch how the dynamic changes. Before we wrap this up, here's the most controversial truth about attraction that almost nobody will tell you. If you're not attracting the women you want, it's not because women are hard to get or too picky. It's because you're not ready to attract them yet. Yes, that might sting. It's easier to blame women or external circumstances, but real change happens when you take full responsibility for your own energy, confidence, and value. Attraction isn't about convincing someone to like you. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally draws the right people in. And if that's not happening yet, the problem lies with what you're offering the world, not what others are doing. This means no more excuses, no more waiting for the right moment or the perfect situation. If you want to attract women, even those who seem uninterested, you need to look in the mirror first. Are you living a life that excites you? Are you confident in your own skin? Are you bringing value to your relationships and to yourself? If not, no amount of texting, nice guy behavior, or pickup lines will change that. Here's the thing. I've been there too. I've struggled with feeling invisible, chasing approval, and wondering why attraction never seemed to click. But once I started focusing on building myself, rejecting the need for approval, and flipping the attraction power, everything changed. And that's exactly what I want for you. Now, I want to hear from you. What part of this did you relate to the most? Have you tried any of these ideas before, and what happened? Or maybe you're skeptical, and that's okay too. Drop your thoughts, stories, or questions in the comments. I read every single one, and I'm committed to reaching out, having real conversations, and helping you on this journey. This isn't just about one video or one set of tips. It's about building a community of men who want more than just dating success. We want real confidence, real connection, and real growth. So let's start that here right now. Remember, attraction isn't a mystery locked behind secret rules. It's a skill, a mindset, and a lifestyle. And you have the power to master it. So don't wait for her to be interested. Build your value, build your confidence, flip the attraction power, and watch how the game changes. Because it will if you're willing to do the work. I'm looking forward to reading your comments and connecting with you. Let's make this journey together.